Hi, so in this video I want to talk about a framework that I've been figuring out and working on. So I've developed it to up to a point. I will most likely add more things to it, but I think it is now at a point where I can talk about it. And yeah, there is obviously, as I'll talk about farther down, that there is room for further development and further, uh, more things about this. But I think now is a good point to start about it. Okay, so this system, I'm going to call it. I'm not sure. There are two names that I've come up with in a way of that makes sense to me. So I'm going to refer to this system as the light codex or a color array. So, and there is an entire list of aspects that work with this. Okay, so I'm going to the way I'm going to describe this is these are individual aspects that I'm going to talk about, and the way to use them is that there are multiple ways that you can use them, right? You can think of these as panels or think of these as cards, and the way every one of these um, these panels or cards, um, they have there is a certain meaning to it. So oh, what was I going to say? Yes, so you can maybe take one of them and perceive them and use your intuition in whichever way that it appeals to you. Or it could be, and you can use it in an array of more than one. It can be 3 or 6 or 9 or 12. I think these, or it can be any other number. It can be 5 or 7 or anything else. So I was just kind of trying to use more, multiples of 3 because I just thought it looks kind of neat and feels. The number 3 has certain beauty in it. In there is a certain eloquence to the number 3, so that's why I was using it. But it can be used with any number. So okay, and yes, so you can create, like, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 slots, for example, or 9 or of these panels or cards. You can place them in all of these slots, and you can use that as intuition, or you can use your own. This is just a suggestion that I gave to use it in this sense. You can use it in any different sense. And so I think with it, it creates a lot of possibilities. And there's an endless way of looking at your own intuition, and so many synchronicities that can happen with this. And I think it's a fun thing to do, right? I mean, obviously, when it comes to making decisions, right, you want to be very, very rational and use the best abilities of reason to make accurate and correct decisions. But I think this is a good way of looking at it from an intuitive perspective. Okay, so all right, so there are so different lists. So the first list that I'm going to get into, I'm calling these the arcs, and this is, in a way, these are aspects of human beauty and human human nature, you could say. Beyond this, there is a pantheon, which I'll get into it afterwards, but right now, and after that, there are different motifs, which I'm calling them right now. I could use different, for a lack of a better word, this is what I'm calling them right now. I might call them something else afterwards. But okay, so to get into the arcs, so the first one that I start off with is perfection. Now, perfection is a very tricky concept. There is constructive perfection and there is destructive perfection. So in this way, I'm kind of talking about a more imperfect perfection, because there is a more I guess you could call it, uh, in a way, that there is perfection in imperfection. So okay, that is the first panel or the first card. And of course, as I get right now in the arcs, as I get more into the motifs, the illustrations of these, I will talk about them, because a lot of these are very visual. So you can imagine them visually in your head, or you can, I might also create illustrations, really good, dazzling, colored illustrations that, in a way that just looking at these illustrations, they can inspire you. So you can kind of imagine it in that way as I'm talking, and try to think in really really sharp and three-dimensional illustrations in your head. You can sort of think of them and imagine them as I talk about them. And these will be more obvious as I get into the motifs afterwards. So, okay, so the first one, as I talked about in the arts, is perfection. The next is intuition. And again, this is with the arcs, these are somewhat more self-explanatory, or you can think of these, you can, like I said, use your own intuition to think of these in any way that these appeal to you. So the next is, and these are, by the way, in no particular order, or maybe there is some order to it in the way that I've written it, but I would just say that I'm listing them as I see them. Okay, there isn't really any real specific reason why it has to be this way, although although there might be some kind of a pattern behind why I've written them this way. Okay, so okay, so the next, I think I said perfection, intuition, romance. After that, the next is friendship. The next one I'm thinking of is intelligence. Then there is creativity. And like I said, you can talk about them in so many different aspects. Like, these are aspects of human nature, true human nature. These are the ways humans who are truly connected with their humanity, these are the ways they express themselves. So yeah, creativity and intelligence are important aspects of human nature. The next is, and this is very important in in connecting us to ourselves, is tranquility, feeling at peace and having that tranquility in your head. It keeps you in, keeps you more connected to yourself. Okay, so the next is passion. And like I said, there are so many various ways you can be passionate about different things. There's so many different things to be passionate about. So, but yeah, the ideal of passion is what I'm talking about. You can perceive it in many different ways. So the next is fun. And fun, probably one of the most important things. If a human being does not have fun, I mean, that's one of the most important things to me. At least the way I think of it is to have fun with whatever it is that you're doing. And fun is very to keep us happy and to really live. So, and the next one is chaotic fun. Now this is a bit more, when you get a little bit more crazy with the fun. And um, yeah, there's all sorts of ways you can go crazy with this. The next is, this is a very important one, empathy. Empathy for others, empathy for yourself, empathy for the great things that exist in the world, and to raise and to raise others, to raise yourself. Empathy is, yes, um, a very human thing to possess. The next is festivity. So with festivity, this kind of goes with the idea of fun and being in the presence of others, celebrating um, in any ways that you can think of celebrations and all kinds of situations. And yes, so again, festivity is something that can be seen as a celebration of humanity in a way, you could say. And there's happiness and there is connections. So festivity. Okay.